Welcome, listeners. You have tuned in to Up Close at QuinteALIVE. Today we're recording from the lounge at Off the Hook, a top ladies apparel store in Quinte West. Our guest today is a serial entrepreneur in high technology. In fact, he's an expat from Silicon Valley, and we enjoy him here in Quinte. He has taken 3 of his companies to IPOs. One of them was the 3rd largest in NASDAQ's history. Now his money is on Quinte. You may know him as the man who launched the Prince Edward County Innovation Center and also the owner of Sandbank Homes. Ladies and gents, I give you Conrad Guziewicz. Welcome, Conrad Guziewicz. Have I pronounced that name well?
Guziewicz is fine, but yes, people are always challenged with my name, including my wife.
Well, welcome to QuinteALIVE, Conrad. I'm so delighted to interview one of our most prolific entrepreneurs in the region.
Well, thank you, but I'm not that prolific, but I appreciate the compliment.
Well, from what I understand, you're pretty prolific. Now, you are the founder of Sandbank Homes in Prince Edward County from 12 years ago, but the investment that you've made that really interests me is what we formerly know as a Prince Edward Innovation Center, which is kind of a mini Silicon Valley in Prince Edward, or actually in our Quinte region. And you now call it First Stone Funding Partners, is that right?
It's First Stone Venture Partners.
Venture Partners, First Stone Venture Partners. And so tell me a little bit about that project.
Absolutely, and I'd like to qualify. I have capitalized a company called Sandbank Homes, and I have a principal partner there. His name is Graham Shannon, and he's very successful in building communities. First Stone Venture Partners is oriented towards funding technology companies, and primarily the goal of those technology companies is to get them sort of with world experiences of a bunch of entrepreneurs who've succeeded and also failed, and learn from those misexecutions to make these young entrepreneurs more successful. And in general, what we do is look for innovation, business ideas, and we capitalize those business ideas typically around $400,000. And that funds the business, and hopefully it creates an ecosystem within our community to provide employment and obviously profit for the company to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Now, these people these businesses are developed in the center near Picton, right?
Essentially, what happens is we're approached by entrepreneurs from all parts of Canada. And what we do is one of our insistence is that they move into the center. And the reason we do that is that I have 8 other entrepreneurs who have been highly successful in their careers to mentor them with different disciplines. Mm-hmm. We have a legal expert who provides governance for legal. We have an accounting expert who's a CA who provides governance in regards to accounting. We have people who've run large corporations. I have one business partner who ran a $100 million business. So we all have very diverse experiences, and we're here to augment the group of entrepreneurs to provide the highest probability of success.
Mm-hmm. So they have minute-by-minute access to a body of intelligence without having duplicated costs, really.
Essentially, we participate with the entrepreneurs on their success. Mm-hmm. So the way we structure our shareholder agreement is we understand the entrepreneur needs to feed himself, needs mm-hmm. to clothe himself, needs to house himself.
Yes.
But if he needs...
How good of you.
Well, but truly, understand that they're using our money for that success. Mm-hmm. And what I always say is, if you're going to be successful, we want to participate in that success when you participate in it. So our focus is always a dividend-based business, and we only participate when they have that success. And I always say, if you want to buy your girlfriend or wife a diamond ring, then that's when you're cut a dividend check, mm-hmm. and we all participate equally.
Yes. Now, First Stone, you're the chair, the CEO?
We're all partners. So.
You're all equal partners.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we're not equal partners. We're partners in the way we've capitalized the business and the amount of work we provide.
So First Stone is a partnership of how many?
Of 7 high net worth entrepreneurs.
Including yourself.
That's correct.
That's a good number. And they're similar to you. They're independently wealthy,
all
successful.
of us don't work for a living. All of us have companies or have funds. We're all independent, financially independent. We're not dependent on a paycheck.
Right, right. So are you driven by money or by passion, or what drives you to do this? If you're independently wealthy and you can retire and you're just over 40, we won't say how much. Why are you doing this?
Well, first of all, and that's, wealth is all perspective, right? And I've been very fortunate. I've met men who've made billions of dollars in a day. And, when they look at my financial success, they say, that I've not been successful. So wealth is all perspective, right? And more importantly, why do I do this? No question there's a motivation of financial benefit. And, I don't do things unless I believe there's a financial benefit. But truly the motivation is, I use the analogy of football. I'm the old quarterback who can't run and throw as hard as I used to. And really, it's an opportunity for me to mentor somebody else and teach them those skills and still participate in the thrill of that success. And, I look at, sort of the 10 transactions we did, and I see how these, one lad, when he first showed up, we were about to do a business call at General Motors, and he showed up in flip-flops. and today he's very occupied on what is key to a business, which is his clients and the success of those clients. And today he's successful, and I've seen in 12 months how this, young man has evolved into a very successful businessman. And I'm very proud of the fact that I've created, with this center, 4 millionaires who now have, businesses that are high-value assets and have been successful.
Wow, tell me about those 4. Can you machine gun through them?
Sort of the 2 most successful organizations are a company called Wagjag Foods, which started off, he was a young lad who graduated from Queens. He was at
Is he the flip-flop guy? No.
No. And I don't want to embarrass that guy, so I won't identify.
We won't mention it.
I won't identify him.
I have flip-flops.
Flip-flops are healthy. I mean, I don't have an issue, but as you know, there's a lot of suits at General Motors.
Yes.
And they like blue suits. We all know about it.
Gotta love them.
Yes. But, if we go back to the Wagjag transaction and Food Scrooge, it was a young guy who was at an MBA school, Queens to be specific. He presented us this Groupon-like venture. We invested in it, and we sold it to Wagjag, which is Tourstar, Toronto Star, and he benefited substantially, and so did we. The most successful company that we've seen with the largest employer is a company called Dealer Plus, and what they do is they service the automotive business, and they provide essentially software to optimize the sale of tires within a car dealership. And they've had tremendous success. They own 80% of the Canadian marketplace, and now they're looking at providing other products. And I'm very proud of them and very successful, and they're a very profitable business.
Yeah, I can really relate to that because we have a successful auto dealer around here, and one of the managers wouldn't work for him unless he had complete access to the web to trade. And he's one of the few that is really awake at the wheel. Doesn't wait for somebody to walk in the showroom. I mean, he's on the web marketing constantly.
Well, the real challenge is that small communities like this is competing with the web. And, I've made this statement before. I believe that traditional retailers are going to die. Main Street, small town Main Street has to adapt and focus on how to market to those prospective buyers, because the traditional way of selling through a store, although that still is, functional, over the long term, you've got to look at diverse ways to be successful. And we're seeing that change.
Tell me more. You mean like get involved more with QuinteALIVE?
Well, obviously, I don't know enough about what you provide in regards to successfully selling on the web, but I believe you fully depend on your front store, that in the long term, that is a formula for disaster. You see the major marketers like Amazon. People are buying things on the web. You know, the best example is I bought a boat, a large purchase without ever seeing it on the web. Today, people are buying cars that way, and it's going to become more and more prolific. And that's what the small town storefront has to compete with, is getting these large retailers who are selling, you know, globally, and how to be competitive. And I believe there are great little small town entrepreneurs who are going to figure it out and be very successful.
Yeah, a lot of them realize they need to have a website, but even these small businesses don't understand how to create a website. I think a lot of the programmers, if you can call them that, or web designers or whatever, they don't even understand how to present the storefront that we're talking about, Main Street, dynamically. You really have a lot of static websites that don't present the experience properly. You can have a very successful business that looks unsuccessful on the web. It's a very strange phenomenon.
I really believe that a small retailer needs to embrace the web. Mm-hmm. He needs to understand it, and he needs to feel out how it works for his business. And, you know, there are millions of people who are making a living off eBay, selling and doing goods.
And Kijiji.
And there are all kinds of opportunities. The world is constantly changing, and it's how you adapt will monetize your success.
And by the way, Kijiji is owned by eBay. Thought I'd mention that. People don't seem to know that. Certainly what they do on the web has to match the experience, but it hasn't been leveraged. It's very misunderstood. A lot of the Main Street people you talk about, when we talk about internet, they say, "Oh, I don't understand computers." So they're so distant from what the if you will, the wireless technology brings them now. Some people call it the cloud. I won't even bring that up. I mean, that would put their heads right in the clouds. But they are really, really very separated from what's going on in technology, and it's of concern. And I see the Main Street changing a lot, and that's what you're saying, and I agree with you. But you know, they're embracing what QuinteALIVE is doing in our video productions and our websites and stuff. So it's a sign. It's hopeful. We have to talk to them. It's bridging their language with the new language is a challenge in itself, without intimidating and explaining. You know,
and really, you know, to be successful, you have to embrace this new language. And we're both in agreement there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, have you done anything for Main Street at all, or I guess in a way, what WagJag is doing is what Groupon is Main Street, right?
Well, you know, let's talk about that. What WagJag had, the gentleman who developed this company called Food Scrooge, really what he was looking at, and the best example was a retailer. You know, when is the most expensive time to buy a turkey? Is the day before Thanksgiving.
Right.
When's the least expensive time to sell a turkey? Is post-Thanksgiving.
Right.
And the challenge that a manufacturer has who makes turkeys has to maintain a steady production. And if he provides a real cheap turkeys to a retailer, then when it's pre-Thanksgiving, he's going to ask for the same price. And what WagJag provided, or Food Scrooge, was an alternative of providing discount turkeys to the public. And what they did is they provided discount foods and provided value. And they are very successful. Today you can see them on WagJag Foods, and they continue to have this success.
It's amazing Toronto Star, being media empire, is getting into this sort of thing. But media is being redefined.
Well, you know, let's get to that example, and I think that's a great example. The largest print company in Canada, okay, is getting into alternative media, right? If the largest guy who depends on that print advertisement for a living, okay, is getting into alternatives and exploring those alternatives, really shouldn't Retail Canada be doing the same thing, right? And frankly, you know, I believe that the sooner they embrace that, the faster they're going to see success.
Yeah.
And you have to have vision. And it's not easy.
Now, is WagJag partnering with other people, or is it only for the Toronto Star related entities?
Well, WagJag is a dominant player that is oriented specifically to Tourstar, which is the Ontario region. But WagJag is essentially the Groupon discount coupon scenario where you have these daily deals, as they call it.
Right, so they can do business with anybody.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that is a Main Street tool. Now, there's a tool that you don't see going on around here.
Well, for example, though, like if you go into Toronto, there's all kinds of these what they call daily deals, right? Where, for example, there's an opportunity where there's somebody who's providing daily deals for the Quinte area, where you provide a discount, introduce the retailer to the buying public, and therefore create a larger penetration. But right now, they've been focused on the larger markets.
Yeah, I don't see much of that going on here. So, Conrad, I have this, former Silicon Valley magnate here. You're the perfect person to ask for us in Quinte, but for the world first, what are the technology ideas that are leading you, that you see as great investment opportunities and great opportunities for the young geeks, geniuses we have among us? Where is there a market niche, a need in all the opportunities that are there in technology?
Well, that's a great question, because that's really where we're investing today. And realize that we're attracting investments in this region to start companies in this region. So our focus is really in niche plays. I believe there's all kinds of opportunities in solving niche problems. So the best example I have is a company that we funded called Dealer Plus. And what they do is they provide a service for doing tire sourcing for car dealerships. It's not everybody's market. It's not every person on the street, but it's an identified buyer who is willing to pay $100 to $200 for the software for tire sourcing. And this company currently owns 80% of the market in Canada, and they're servicing that market, and now they're looking to move in the U.S. The business will never be Facebook, but it will be a $10 to $20 million company, which in all fairness is a great business, providing a great income for the owners, a great dividend for the employees, and it's a great resource for the community.
So what I hear you saying is a lot of opportunities are in vertical markets, and developing technologies, procurement systems, buying systems, providing content for them, mixing all that together in vertical markets.
I agree absolutely with the vertical comment. The system will be relevant to each different business. So if there's a businessman today who sees there's a problem within their business, meaning you're a grocery store and you find a more efficient way of sourcing vegetables, we'll take that application and apply it to the general market. That's what these kids did with the tire store, and they've been very successful. We are about to make an investment in a company that does sourcing, management for companies that provide software for executive centers. And what they do is manage those executive centers more effectively. And by doing that, they create a market opportunity, and they get paid handsomely for doing that. And it's a great opportunity. It'll never be billions of customers, but it'll be thousands of customers, which makes it a successful company.
Yeah, and I think that also it creates more loyalty when you have that depth in an industry. So people are to keep, the young ones out there, to keep their ears open and across the board, from food to retail to manufacturing, you name it, and see where there is a need. Listen to the complaints.
Exactly, and really to clarify that is, if you see a problem that can be identified in a small business community and you can use current technology to solve that problem, there's tremendous opportunities, and then really it's identifying that vertical.
Okay, so that kind of says what can go on for Quinte. That's kind of a repeat for the globe and the world. Who's heading? What kind of technologies are heading in the world other than Facebook? I mean, what about social? How do you feel about social?
And that's a good question. So I always like businesses, and the businesses I invest in, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit more traditional, is if I can clearly find my buyer in the phone book. I don't really believe in opportunities that if I build it, they will come. So Facebook is that kind of opportunity. I will build a technology, the public will fall in love with it, and then I will sell advertising dollars. That typically is not something I would invest in. I like the opportunity where, for example, we've invested in a company that makes a doctor's office tremendously more efficient. Well, I know where the doctor's offices are, so it's easy to identify and develop them. Versus, I've got this great app that all young people will like to use, but they've got to find out about my app, and therefore I'll be successful. Less of an investment for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of you venture capitalists are tired of hearing that story. That's sort of a 30-year-old story. But sometimes it's true. Hence Twitter, hence Facebook. I mean, PayPal, was about money. It's not a social site per se, but that surprised people how they finally took off. And they were quite a while to take off. People didn't believe in them for a while.
Yeah, and there are opportunities there's Kijiji, there's also Craigslist. eBay is probably the best example. There's all kinds of market opportunities, and the ones that appeal more to the general public, I probably stay away from more so. And it's not that those aren't successful. It's just not something I strongly believe in. I like opportunities where the customer is identified easily.
You're a niche guy.
Yeah, it's not that I'm a niche guy, but I like where I can find my customer in a phone book.
Yeah.
And I like any company who presents that opportunity to me. Yesterday, I got a presentation from the ex-CIO of RIM, and he had an application that was like that application where he was creating a virtual wallet out of your phone, where literally it took care of all your bank cards, your credit cards, and now your phone became those. So, it's not something we won't walk away from, but it's not necessarily what I look forefront with.
Yeah. And everybody and his brother in the last couple of years have been developing apps for mobile and iPads and so on. Every time a new breakthrough happens in hardware, everybody's trying to optimize, creating an app to optimize. I mean, I don't like seeing QuinteALIVE on mobile because it just, it just gets squished in a strange sandwich, So a lot of the big apps need to really make sure they're optimized for all formats, and that's still a challenge. It's not working that well.
Yeah, and I believe that, I fundamentally believe the computer that you're currently holding will become obsolete. I really believe the mobile computing will replace, what you're using as a tool today. My prediction is 3 years from now, those will be obsolete devices. So mobile means functionality. It means connectivity. Where you're right now, I'm looking at your computer, and unfortunately, you're plugged to a wall socket. And as you said to me, my limitation is the length of the battery. And the battery on these things don't last long, where, when you look at these mobile devices, you can get a day or 2 days, out of it, and they're becoming as powerful as this device.
We could talk technologies. We could get into quantum physics if you like. I'd like to see somebody invest money there, but let's not even go there because that's a 3-hour talk. I'm going to show you something in my car when we're finished. I bought the first color Mac in Toronto. In fact, I have the first bag that held it as well. It's in my car. It's a collector's item. It'll blow you away to see this thing.
Well, believe it or not, if you sell that on eBay, you probably make a lot of money.
Okay, I will. I got to get the rust off the snap. So we're kind of getting you. Now, I understand that you're moving. You're considering moving here. You've got Sandbank Homes in Prince Edward County, which is a big development. You'd like to see people from Toronto move here, and that's not a tough job. They love Prince Edward County.
Well, it's not only believe it, our market is, and let me talk about that because you've asked me that question.
Yeah.
So there's a tremendous opportunity in servicing what we call the baby boomers, and unfortunately or fortunately, I'm one of them, and not in any way am I assuming, but
no, I'm a baby boomer. I'm probably older than you.
Well, thank you, but I don't think so.
I think so. Thank you.
Anyway, 40% of our population are boomers, and that population is now looking at downsizing, and it's not very unusual anymore to hear about people who are looking for, more minimal living and less stress. I'm heading to Toronto now. I know that by the time I hit Toronto, it is going to take me 3 to 4 hours just to get across Toronto to get my home. When I'm in the Quinte area, that's never an issue.
Radio better be good, eh? Satellite radio better be good.
Well, what's even worse is, last week I was driving on the 401, and all of a sudden I hit a wall of smoke. Somebody's car caught on fire. I was driving in a convertible, and behind me, I was on the 401, and I knew that I was so close to being rammed, and they were going into the same wall of smoke. And I know every time I drive across the top of the city that risk is there, and I have to become very alert. You know, the Quinte area is, I believe, Canada's best held secret. It is a phenomenal area. It has fine restaurants. It's got beautiful, water vistas. And on top of that, the people are phenomenal here. Yeah. And we have such a diverse group of people. I have been asked before, what do I enjoy the most about Quinte? And my response is the people.
Yeah, ditto. I agree, because I'm an urban girl who moved here 13 years ago, and I wish I'd done it sooner. And you'd fit in well, Conrad. I think you'd fit in well. I think we need you moving in here. So Sandbank's home, how much is that? How much can I get a home for with no basement?
Oh, no, actually.
I don't want a basement.
Well, we do have basements, and
I never want to see another basement in my life.
We do. So really our homes are oriented towards single-floor living and oriented towards lifestyle, people who are downsizing and getting out of their large urban homes. And the prices range between $250,000 and $400,000.
Wow. Well, I'll have to take a peek at those. Well, Conrad, it's been such a pleasure having you. Let's do this again, shall we? And keep up with your progress. Maybe when you move here, find out what's going on.
Thank you.
And I want to take up your invitation. We haven't heard this in an interview, but to go up and see the center and who you're, I'm not using the word incubating, but who you're business accelerating.
And I would love to have you. We are about to bring in 15 more companies, and it would be an interesting article for you to interview all 15. Yeah, and then do a review of their success a year later.
Count on it.
And also some of my business partners who are all very successful business people like I've been, and I think you would find it very interesting. Thank you.
You're very welcome.